Good morning. Welcome back to Pastor's Morning Walk. A beautiful day, beautiful sunrise. Glory to the living God. I have the privilege of preaching again this morning in chapel. And to our schoolboys, I'll be exhorting them from Proverbs 15:1, that a harsh word stirreth up anger, and it is an important thing for children. I don't think it's less important for adults. But it's daily experience as a father and of a teacher that this is a common problem with children, that they bite and devour one another with their speech. The proverb begins that a soft answer turneth away wrath. And I think these two things need to be emphasized. It's important to learn from a young age to use our speech in a way that avoids scandal. We do not want to be the cause with our tongue for other people's sin. Now, this principle immediately opens up the exceptions or the qualifications of this proverb, that there are times to speak very sharply. That is, when it would be a scandal to do otherwise, when pressing public sin requires public rebuke, when the sin is of such a nature and degree and depth that to speak softly about it would be unfaithful, that when the sin is so dangerous in its effects that if you're not extremely urgent in how you speak of it, then you're betraying the souls of those committing it or those who might commit it. There's a time for a word that might, in a wholesome sense, be called harsh. Though we rightly usually use the word harsh to speak of something sinful, that is excessively harsh, too sharp. And the fact is, in normal daily speech, there's very little need for sharp words. Just as in normal health, there's very little need for surgeries or amputations or extreme medical interventions. That doesn't mean that we deny the propriety of those things. It's just that we're hesitant to use them except when absolutely necessary. And it should be the same in our speech, especially those, like ministers, who have need to use sharpness of speech, perhaps more often than others. It's true in a sense for all men in this exceedingly wicked age. We ought to practice that the background of our speech is calm, reasonable, loving, tempered, gentle, so that even when we have to speak sharply, to speak with a righteous anger, it is perfectly controlled and prudent and appropriate. I have found personally that as I've learned to use sharp words at the right time, I have also had more success in controlling my tongue at other times. And that's because the right use of the tongue is a matter of self-control, whether we're speaking of sharpness or softness. It's the ability to speak just the right word, the right time, and the right circumstances, so that your words are like apples of gold and pictures of silver. This is a grace I especially seek as a minister. Pray for it for me, and seek it yourself. Some helps in training yourself in soft answers and away from harsh words. One is to apply that golden rule that I spoke of recently. How would you, a righteous person, like to be spoken to? Go and speak likewise. Another is, before you speak, to evaluate simply to ask. It's good to practice accosting anything that will come out the gate of your mouth. What is your business? Do you have reason to leave the gate? Or is it time for you to stay inside for now? Practicing a careful watch over your mouth, so that even in things you are fairly sure are sounding good, you at least take a second thought. This is prudent. It applies to actions too. And then particularly when accosting that speech coming out of your mouth, ask, does it build up? Will it edify? A final help I'll add is silence. Another proverb says even a fool is considered wise when he doesn't open his mouth. And another says that in the multitude of words there wanteth not sin. Again, this does not mean you shouldn't speak when it calls for it. But we should all agree there are far fewer opportunities you should take to speak than opportunities that are given to speak. It is generally good to keep your mouth shut. I remember balking at this a bit when I was younger. Not that I'm old yet, but I am getting older. And I now see more of the wisdom of it, and I have begun to recognize that young men typically do not have this grace of knowing when not to speak. There's a sense in which as I've grown older, I've learned to speak more. I'm preaching a lot more. I'm doing videos like this more often. But I hope that I've learned to be silent as well. I'm speaking to children this morning, and I will especially exhort them to silence. There's a man's proverb that has a lot of wisdom. Children are better to be seen than heard. And I think children need to take this to heart, because they are the most prone to excessive speech of all sorts of people. Perhaps this is good for women as well, given their natural weakness, to consider. Well, may the Lord bless you today and apply these words to your heart.